We have provided you with a brief presentation on everything you need to know about competency-based interviews. Competency-based interviews are used throughout the UN system, and it is the preferred method of interview that we use here at ITC. The best way to prepare for your upcoming interview would be to read through the job opening very carefully. You can also prepare a brief statement as to why you are interested in this job. Also, we would advise you to read up about the organisation and the specific programme. Then you should think about some examples from your experience that you could draw upon that would highlight your relevancy to this position. If it is an interview in person, make sure you know where you're going and at what time. If it is a video interview, make sure that technically everything is set up as it should be. So during the interview, the main thing is don't panic. Tell yourself that you're excited, but not that you're scared, as these are the same physical reactions. Make sure that you are yourself. Don't try and be somebody you're not. If it is an in-person or video interview, just watch your body language. Make sure that you're not tapping your pencil or your pen on the desk, or you're not swiveling around on your chair and you're not biting your nails. It's also good to maintain eye contact and smile at the panel members. Finally, you don't need to ask a final question just for the sake of it. Only ask a question if you're genuinely interested in the subject. Competency-based interviews are widely used in the UN system, and they are based on the assumption that past performance is the best indicator of future performance. And this is why we will ask you to provide examples from your previous experience to demonstrate situations you have been in. So most of the time, typical questions will start with, tell me about a time when, can you give me an example of a time when, or describe a time when. In order to respond to a competency-based interview question, firstly ensure that you have understood the question. If you would like the panel to repeat or rephrase the question, then do not hesitate to ask. Also, make sure that when you're answering the question, you are really answering the question that has been asked and not the question that you would like to have been asked. If in doubt, summarize the question to check that you have correctly understood it. You may take your time and you may take some notes in order to phrase your answer correctly. And lastly, if you need time to think, just ask the panel for a few moments of reflection. When answering a competency-based interview question, you may want to use the CAR model. This is a structured way for you to give your response. You can start with the C, which is context. So explain to the panel briefly the time and the place and who was involved in your example. Do not spend too long on this, but make sure that you have explained to the panel the situation. The next stage would be A, which is action. This is where you can explain what you did and how you did it. Followed on by the R, which is results. If you can explain the outcome, and also it is a good time to explain any feedback that you received or any lessons that you learned from your experience. On this slide, there are 3 questions that you could use in order to practice for your upcoming interview. You may also find some examples on the internet. The main way to practice and to prepare for your interview would be to think of some examples from your work career of situations that you have been in that would demonstrate some of the competencies that are being requested on the job opening, and taking a note of them and then reflecting on how you could use these in an upcoming interview.